My dear students, this is third video of the same topic titled as figure of speech or figurative language. We have already talked about four major types of figure of speech. Now we will be taking few more types. Coming to the fifth one, this is, yes, hyperbole. So hyper itself means excess, hyperbole means exaggeration or overstating something. That means expressing something very clearly. So it uses exaggeration for emphasis or for effect. Just see here, the examples are given here. For example, the first example, the river of blood flooded in the battlefield. So we are talking about a war, we are talking about the battlefield. Now we are saying the river of blood. So the river of blood, this phrase or some words are being used here to put an emphasis, or this is being used for effect, or or to present something in to overstating something or to exaggerate something very clearly. So the river of blood flooded in the battlefield. This means things are presented as greater. Sometimes things are presented as lesser, sometimes things are presented as better, sometimes things are presented as worse than they really are. So it's known as exaggeration. Things are present as greater or lesser, better or even worse than they really are. So it's known as exaggeration. Just go through the second example. Like we say, I have told you a million times. Can we say something million times? No. But to put it in a different way, to give it something, to give emphasis on something, or to present something in a different way, in exaggerating our statement, or to say something very clearly in a different way, we say, I have told you a million times. But million times doesn't literally mean somebody saying it in million times, but this is being used to give some image like this. So I have told you a million times. Then coming to the third example, uh, I have not met him since ages. It means it has been a long time since I met him. So, saying it in a different way, this phrase or these words are being used in order to exaggerate this statement. I have not met him since age. So, this is extreme exaggeration of ideas to lay emphasis or catch the reader's attention. For example, we say, everybody knows that. So, this is also exaggeration for emphasis or for effect. Then, if we say sometimes, I could do this forever. So this is just the emphasis or giving some effect to the statement or whatever we say. Then we say, for example, one more example I will tell you. He ran faster than the speed of light. That means we are comparing his speed with the speed of light. But is this possible that anybody can run faster than the speed of light? This is just the overstatement. This is just the exaggeration, saying something with emphasis, with effect. So we say he ran faster than the speed of light. So these, just remember that in hyperbole, things are presented sometimes as greater, sometimes as lesser, sometimes better, sometimes worse than they really are. So this is known as exaggeration. Then we have sixth major type of figure of speech. This is oxymoron. So an oxymoron is two contradictory terms used together. That means we use two terms in a sentence but they contradict each other. So oxymoron containing words seems to contradict each other. For example, see here the first example, he was found missing. Found and missing are two contradictory terms used together, but we can use it. He was found missing. Then we say, when you go there, do submit original copy. When you go there, do submit original copy. We are talking about original and then copy. That means two different, two contradictory terms are being used here. Then we have um, natural acting. We say natural and then acting. That means two different, two contradictory terms used together. So just simply remember that whenever you find a sentence somewhere and you are asked to say whether this is what type of figure of speech this is, so if you find a sentence where two contradictory terms are used together, you can say this is oxymoron. For example, original copy, we are talking about original and then copy in the same sentence. So this is oxymoron. Natural acting, natural and then acting. He was found missing. He was found missing. So these are two contradictory terms used together. She is pretty ugly. So in such type of sentences, words contradict each other, but the meaning they convey is correct and they convey meaning in a beautiful way. So just remember, whenever you find such sentences where terms are being used, two terms they contradict each other, they are known, this is known as oxymoron. Then we have one more type of figure of speech. This is known as alliteration. So alliteration is a figure of speech where a series of repetition of words with initial same letter or sound is being used. So this is repetition. Just remember repetition of the beginning sound. Repetition of the beginning sound of neighboring words, and this is being used for sound effect, for musical effect. So alliteration is a figure of speech, is being used for sound effect, for musical effect, where the initial same letters or where the repetition of the beginning sound of neighboring words are being used. So use of two or more words, use of two or more words that begin with the same letter of sound, such as we have safe and sound. Safe and sound, two words, and the and the repetition of the beginning sound of the neighboring sound, safe, sound. And then we have Coca Cola, Mickey Mouse, or we have she sells seashells. So it is specially used in poetry, use of same sounds, especially consonants, at the beginning of several words that are close together. Like you have in your 12th class functional English literature reader book, there is a poem letter by Abraham Lincoln's to his son's teacher. So there was written, teach him to be gentle with gentle and tough with the tough. So this adds basically musical quality to the poetry. So you have to remember, whenever you find a sentence, you are asked to just check and to see whether which type of figure of speech this is. So whenever you see there is being used two or more words that begin with the same letter of sound, or there is repetition of the beginning sound of the neighboring words, this is alliteration. Okay, now we have one more major type of figure of speech, that is paradox. Paradox is somewhat similar to the oxymoron, but different in some senses. So paradox is an absurd statement that is contrary to general or accepted opinion. So at first reading it seems absurd or impossible, but on examination it is found to be true. For example, we say this is the beginning of the end. That means we say this seems contradictory terms being used here. Also we say this is the, if you just read the half part of the sentence, it conveys a different meaning. This is the beginning, and then you say of the end, then it conveys a different meaning. This is the beginning of the end. That means you are basically talking about the conclusion, and this is just the beginning of the conclusion. So this is seems to be an absurd statement that is contrary to general or the accepted domain. So in at the first it seems absurd or impossible, but in examination it is found to be true. So a statement may appear to be silly, but in reality contains a truth which seems unreasonable. Then you have, for example, this he is nobody. Or you have one more example here. Nobody goes to that coffee shop. Just read the half part of the sentence, it conveys a different meaning. Nobody goes, just uh, read this part of the sentence. Yes, nobody goes to that coffee shop. This is just the half part of the sentence, conveys a different meaning. And then you read the second part of the sentence. Nobody goes to that shop, it is too busy. Similarly, we say, my weakness is my strength. We are talking about the weakness, and then we are talking about the strength. And then we say, my weakness is my strength. So something is said in a weird manner. So at first reading it seems impossible, but later we realize this is true. So just remember the examples that will help you in your examination. You will be easily able to locate what type of figure of speech is being asked to you. And then we have imagery. This is the last type of figure of speech. This is the literary device. So imagery means to use figurative language to represent object, to represent action, to represent ideas in such a way that it appeals to our physical sense. So basically it can help to make an image in the mind of the audience. It can help to make an image in the mind of the reader, but it can also appeal to the it appeals to the other mind, basically creates an image. So words, descriptions, and author uses to help you understand how something smells, how something sounds, how something looks, how something feels, how something tastes. Just see the examples. The bell jingled in the wind. So jingled in the wind, that means it is just helping us to make an image in the mind. uh, Image of what? Image of sound. The bell jingled in the wind. Then we have the cat's nose was cold and wet. The cat's nose was cold and wet. It means we are talking about touch. We are creating an image in our mind, an image of touch. So it helps us to understand how some about touch, about looks, about sounds, about taste. Then we have the other example. The food was spicy enough to set my mouth on fire. The food was spicy enough to set my mouth on fire. So, fire here means this is creating an image in our mind, and the image reflects the taste of the food. The food was spicy enough to set my mouth on fire. So the image is being created in the mind of the reader or the listener, and it creates the image of taste. So just remember the examples. The words are being used, the description author uses to help you understand how something smells, how sounds, looks, feels, or tastes. So just see the bell jingled in the air, creates an image of the sound. The cat's nose was cold and wet. It creates an image of touch. You get an idea about touch. The cat's nose was cold. The food was spicy enough to set my mouth on fire. That means this is creating an image and which reflects the taste of the food. I hope this much is clear. Thank you.